then, well, 24 hours later, TJ Watt was posting a cryptic message on Instagram that we still are not certain if he knew exactly what he was doing, but something was done. And since then, everybody has been reacting, discussing, debating on everything going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers and if they are in a little bit of trouble when it comes to TJ Watt. I tried for a couple of days to kind of get my hands on what is happening with the Pittsburgh Steelers and TJ Watt, and if there was any drama brewing, and if we should be more aware of a situation that others are presenting. Obviously, Mark Caboli and Andrew Filipponi both said that maybe this is a little bit more than just an Instagram post. And then Tom Pelissero of NFL Network said last week that maybe it's connected to Aaron Rodgers and that situation. Well, I have a kind of a different take. A new situation that, again, I don't think leads to the end of TJ Watt. I think I and everybody else need to make this very clear that at the end of the day, TJ Watt is going to remain a Pittsburgh Steeler, that he is going to, I would say 95% sign a contract extension with the Pittsburgh Steelers, remain in the black and gold for the rest of his career. But it doesn't mean that things are smooth sailing right now. And from what I have finally heard, things are not super smooth between the superstar edge rusher and the Pittsburgh Steelers. From what I have been told throughout this conversation is that negotiations with TJ Watt and the Pittsburgh Steelers took a turn when the Steelers anticipated that this would go down like last year or last time, when TJ Watt was essentially negotiating for weeks and eventually hit a point where he said, I need to be out on the field with my teammates. I'm going to take that quote unquote hometown discount and remain in Pittsburgh and sign my deal so that I could finally get back out there and begin preparing for the 2020 whatever season. 2020 might have been 2021 season. This time, there was probably a chance that that was going to happen last year. That if the Pittsburgh Steelers and TJ Watt negotiated a deal in 2023, or I guess the spring of 2024, that he and them would have settled on a deal that was pretty team friendly when you looked back at it. Today, where we stand, the Pittsburgh Steelers have made it abundantly clear that they are willing to spend money. And therefore, TJ Watt is not going to take that hometown discount. That the price differentiation, between what they anticipated and what it actually is going to be is probably drastically different. And the Steelers, hoping that they could have walked in here and said, this is our guy, this is our leader, he's going to do what's best for the team. Well, he's looking at it going, I want to do what's best for the team, but at the same time, you have paid guys and are willing to pay other guys. I think and again, from everything I've gathered, the signing of DK Metcalf to a $150 million deal struck a chord in the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room that essentially said the Steelers are here to spend money. They are willing to hand more money than they've ever handed to a wide receiver before, to a guy that has never been here, to a newcomer, to a dude who a year ago they were okay with Van Jefferson. Now they're willing to pay boatloads of money for DK Metcalf. And that's fine. The Pittsburgh Steelers and their players are super excited for what DK Metcalf brings to the field this season and next season and for the next 5 years. But at the same time, it was a direct sign, message, warning, whatever, to everybody else that they have the money to pay these guys and that they're willing to pay these guys that much money. And in the case of TJ Watt, if DK Metcalf is getting paid top dollar, why isn't their best player? Why isn't the guy who deserves $100 or I guess $40 million a year over however many years, why isn't he being offered that? And again, I don't think TJ Watt's looking for $40 million, but I do think he's real close. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are just below 35. And that's not what he's looking for. And he's not willing to take that discount this time because, again, the Steelers have made it clear to everybody in that locker room that they are willing to pay people because they paid DK Metcalf a boatload of money, and he has never stepped foot on the field in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform. That is what I've been told. And again, I don't expect, and nobody in Pittsburgh expects this to end with TJ Watt going anywhere else. But all of the debate and conversation about, is it Aaron Rodgers? Is he pissed off about the quarterback situation? No, it's financial. It's money. But it's not Aaron Rodgers money. It's not Cam Hayward money. It's not Myles Garrett money. It's DK Metcalf was the example that the Pittsburgh Steelers will pay their superstars. And if you're paying DK Metcalf, who's a new guy, you have to pay the biggest name in your locker room, which is TJ Watt, and you have to pay him fairly. And I think that's where the Steelers stand currently, is they're having a hard time coming up with what is fair in this situation, because them and TJ Watt are on different pages with that. Nothing's going to change. If this was August, it'd be a concern. If this was the end of July, it'd be a concern. But it's April. The draft is 10 days away. The Pittsburgh Steelers are not sitting here sweating that them and TJ Watt do not have a deal done. I don't think TJ Watt's sweating that they don't have a deal done either. I just think he's sending out a little bit of a message to say, hey, okay, you guys showed your hand. You kind of made a mistake in that when it comes to negotiations with me. I need my money. I deserve my money. From what I've heard, I'm not talking to TJ Watt directly. I don't even know how I would do that outside of a locker room. But I have spoken to others within the Pittsburgh Steelers and the locker room, and the consensus is just there that the Steelers paid a guy. Now they need to pay their guy. They're the guy. And I expect them to, but I don't think it's going to come easy between TJ Watt and the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's my news update for what happened this weekend between Pittsburgh and TJ, and the cryptic message and everything that we talked about last week. Finally got a hold of somebody yesterday, and I think at that point it was just gathering of information. For a couple of days it was, okay, what is the situation? All of these reports are flying out there. Let's get our hands on exactly what is happening, exactly how everybody feels, and let's make sure that the public and the information that's getting out to the public is accurate and consists of everything that's happening, not just a small portion. That's what's going on with TJ Watt and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Again, if this was August, I'd be worried. I'm not worried. It's April. Nothing about me sits here and says the Steelers and TJ Watt are headed for darker times than they are already in.